Good evening. Since I did not have to preach this morning, I was thinking, since this was Mother's Day, I wanted to share a couple of things with you. And I couldn't help think about all of the ladies who were at church today and all of the mothers who were there. And this was the first time since my mother passed away that I didn't pray for the mothers who were at church and break down into tears thinking about my mother. And I guess probably because I had a lot of major decisions I'm weighing right now, and I was thinking about how I would so love to talk to her about some of the things that I'm contemplating and some of the things that I'm working on, and I don't have that privilege anymore because she's with the Lord. But the beauty of it is I know where she is, and I know that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And I looked at all of the ladies who were at church today, and since my assistant pastor delivered the message this morning, I was freed up from having to prepare a message, but I thought, since I also blog on the ministry of a friend, Pastor Dave Householder, I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you on today as I sat and I reflected. And of course, Psalm 31 came to me starting at verse 10, which says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like a merchant's ship. She bringeth her goods from afar. She raises also while it is yet night. She giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. And with the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household is clothed in scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, while he is sitting among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue there is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou exceedest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. And as I thought about this passage of scripture, I thought about so many of the things that I have seen on social media with people honoring their mothers. And I thought about a post that I made last night on pictures of my great-great-grandmother, great-grandmother, grandmothers, and my mother. And I also saw the pictures that my cousins posted of two of my aunts. And it made me reflect on things 11 years ago. This dog that you probably see right here had just been born, along with his 7 brothers and 1 sister. He was only about the size of my hand. And as I sat eating tonight and saw a post that my sister wrote reflecting on the birth of her 2 daughters, and I reflected on the birth of my daughter and on the adoption of my son. And I remembered 11 years ago, this coming June, sitting on my front porch about 4 days after my mother passed away and reflecting how short life is, and reflecting on moments that I had experienced in my life, and how up until 4 days prior to that, I had only known the presence of both of my parents, alive and well. And from that point to this day, I only have now one parent alive, and I thank God that my father, on the 27th of May, will be 92 years old. But you see, what hit me that day as I sat on that porch was that life is so short that we should never take any day for granted. Every day is a day to be cherished. And I began to think, what if I had had an inclination that when I saw my mother on the 27th of May, and when I saw my aunt, my father's sister, on that same day, that would be the last day that I saw each of them alive. What would I have done differently? What could I have done differently? Would it have changed any of the situations that happened at that moment? And when I got to thinking about it, there's nothing I could have done to have changed any of those events, because it was all in God's hands anyway. But what I did understand is that life being so short, and those at that time 55 years of my life had seemed to pass like a fleeting moment. And those moments felt like just yesterday. And I thought about folks that I know of that have no relationship with their parents, and their parents are still living. They don't speak to them. They have no connection with them. And I got to thinking, I can't conceive of that. When I thought of the passage in the 10 Commandments that says, honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, which my assistant pastor made reference to this morning. And I thought about the fact that one of the keys to long life that God gives us is that we honor our parents and respect our parents as long as we live. And that God promises us longevity when we uphold that promise and uphold that mandate that He gave us to honor our parents. And I saw the post that a friend of mine, Wendy Householder, made, and who just lost her mother this year. And she had a picture of her mother as her mother lay there in a nursing home bed, and she was embracing her with a kiss. And and her son Lars in the picture right next to it, the two pictures right next to each other. And she made a comment about, to the effect that her mother had given her life, and the birth of her son made her a mother, and she was so blessed for both. And I began to think, as I was sitting there looking at that, I said, you know, if we knew the moment, the day, or the hour that that would have been the last time that we saw our parents, what would we do? If you knew that the next moment you had would be your last moment with your parents, what would you do? How would you embrace them? How would you hold them? How would you reconcile issues of the past? How would you make peace with those things that you had not made peace with? Because that's something that you would have need to have done. And I thought about those things, and I thank God that I have no regrets. The only regrets that I have is that I can't talk to Mama here. But I know that one day I will talk to her again face to face at the feet of Jesus. I thank God that I still have a father that I can share things with and laugh with and joke with, and my sister and I can go out to McDonald's with and embarrass him and watch him laugh and smile and pretend like he doesn't know us and walk away. And we get such a kick out of that, and knowing that that's a blessing that he's still here. And I think about my own daughter with my two grandchildren, and what a blessing she is as a mother. And even though a lot of times as parents we don't always feel we are the best, know the best, or doing the best, if we do the job by faith, then we're doing the best that God asks us to do, and He honors it if we do it to His glory. And so as I looked at all of the posts about mothers, and I looked at what my cousin Nancy wrote about my Aunt Katie, and looked at what my cousin Aura wrote about Auntie, and I remembered the parts that they played in all of our lives, and what a blessing it was. And I said, you know, it would be so nice to be able to have them with me once again, right here and right now. But you know, the only thing that we have when they're gone are those cherished memories. So I encourage everyone who still has a living mother, or a living grandmother, or a living great-grandmother, or an aunt who raised you, or whoever. If you have no peace with them, make peace. If you have a loving relationship with them, cherish every moment that you have. Celebrate every moment that you have, because when those moments are over, they're gone until you see Jesus face to face. And that will only happen if you know Him. That will only happen if you've invited Him into your life. That can only happen if you understand the concept and receive what Jesus did on Calvary's cross. And then the other thing you can do is thank God that your mother did not turn her back on you and cause you to be an aborted baby, because you wouldn't be here to rise up and call her blessed. So whatever kind of relationship you have with your parent, at least they allowed you to live. At least they allowed you to grow. Whether you have scars, scars can heal. Whether you have pains, those pains can heal. Whether you have hurts, those hurts can heal. But thank God for the life that somebody gave you, and that somebody is your mom. May God bless you and heaven smile upon you.